I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast. And I have joining me a good friend and event promoter, Joanne Jobin, who puts on the mining event. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. And yes,
No,
and also thank you for being such a great friend and ally of the mining investment event almost since its very beginning. We really appreciate your support.
yeah, you're on year 4 of this event. It happens every year in June in Quebec City. Um, Before we get too far into the weeds, let's talk about the event itself and let's get the dates down for when it is this year.
Yeah, thank you. So this year, our event is June 3rd to 5th. And on the 2nd, we have pre-registration. So those people coming in will be treated to a new event this year put on by Core Technologies. We're calling it our Badges and Beer event. So you come on in, you pick up your lanyard, have a cocktail with us, and listen to some live entertainment. And that goes on from 6 to 9 o'clock.
This event is definitely an elite event on the calendar for people. You're on year 4. I've been there for the last 3 years. I simply missed the very first year because you were coming off of the COVID period. And I didn't hear about your event until PDAC that year, which was late into June. And everybody was going directly from PDAC to your event. And everybody that told me about your event came back to me afterwards and said, wow.
Thanks. Well, that was our first year. We launched in 2022, right after COVID. So I was literally putting this thing together on my own right through COVID, because, these things take quite a long runway to achieve. But I'm very happy with our first year. It was, we had 47 companies presenting over 2 and a bit days, and we had about 300 participants, of which 81 were qualified investors. Now, last year, we had, just in comparison, we've grown 150% in 3 years. We're now on track to grow another 20 to 30% for this year. But last year we hosted 115 companies over 3 and a bit days, I should say 2 and a quarter days, as well as 40 sponsors. We had just over 800 participants, of which 260 were qualified investors. So we are on track this year to host approximately 130 issuers. I'm also very, very proud to say that last year we had 16 of the billion-dollar market cap companies on our stage, and we're on track to do that again this year. But most importantly, when we first started, people were like, oh, it's a Quebec conference. My vision was always to create a global conference that actually takes place in Quebec City, no different than what Beaver Creek or Denver or BMO does in Colorado or Florida, for example. So, last year, I think we really cracked the back on that, and we really, truly became global last year. And it's continuing on this year. We have companies coming in from South America, from Sweden, from Finland, Australia, Papua New Guinea. We're quite excited with where we're at.
Yeah, it really is an international event. The speakers are international, the companies are international, the investors are international. I've spoken with European investors, American investors, even some South American investors, which surprised me that they made their way that far north to attend a conference of this nature. But that says a lot to the quality of not only the companies that you have that are there being representative, but to the speakers and the investment theories that are also being presented on your stage. Is there any hints of who might be be taking the stage to talk to people this year?
Well, we are actually working very diligently on our agenda right now. We're almost completely sold out of our speaking slots. But of course, the Quebec government is a big sponsor, so there'll be a panel. There'll also be a panel for the Newfoundland government. We're actually working to see if we can get the Yukon there. There'll be representation from the US government as well this year. On the panel side, I think it's going to be very interesting. We always have our power panel with our, most well-known and accomplished women in the mining industry. This year we have the Northern Miner Legends and Superstars panel, which is being moderated by Anthony Vaccaro and also Phil Baker. So that's got some pretty heavy hitters on it, as well as the upcoming superstars. That's why we're calling it Legends and Superstars. We also have an investment panel headed up by Maria Smirnova from Sprott. We've got, we're going to be talking about AI and mining efficiencies for the future of mining. We've got Alex Deleuze from the Gold Telegraph, who's going to have a great fireside chat with some key people. We also have a copper panel this year. We've got an energy transition metals panel. We've got an Indigenous women's business panel, which I'm really excited about. And also a critical metals pipeline geopolitical panel, which should be very interesting. And of course, one of the most important things that we do that I don't think gets really talked about enough is our student sponsorship. We actually sponsor 50 students from all across Canada. And these students come in for 3 days, fully funded. They stay with us and they actually go through their own exercise. And at the end, the major student sponsors, which this year is Glencore, we're still looking for another one that we're working on right now. We should be able to announce that shortly. But Glencore and the other sponsor pick an outstanding student and a winning team, and they award them. And those students go on and take this experience of being able to meet with executives on a really, really granular level, and just helps them be better at going out there and finding their jobs as they will do when they graduate in a year or two.
Yeah, and the quality of the students that you guys get at the conference that are participating in that student program, they are elite students in the geology field. Like we're not talking, average students. Like some of
No.
them had come by and spoke to me, and they were talking real high end concepts. They learned really quickly. I knew very little about geology, so even they were able to manage to dumb it down so I could understand it. But it's pretty remarkable, and it's good to see young faces at these conferences, and
Yeah.
to know that there's going to be a future still for our industry.
When we first started this program and we reached out to students, they actually thought it was a scam because nobody pays for students to come to their conference. So, we have become one of the largest fully funded student conference student programs in the country. And that's something I'm really, really proud of, because when I started this conference, I really wanted to make sure that we gave back to the community in some way, shape, or form. And this is a fantastic way to do it. And we also have our SHECO initiative, which helps young women with their startups in education, or communities with their startups in education. And this year, Sean Rusin is picking the charity. So we're waiting to work with Sean. We're waiting to hear from Sean what charity he's going to pick, and we'll be making a donation to that community as well.
Yeah, it's good to get down to the grassroots of the communities as well. But at the same time, the other thing that I really appreciate about your conference, for those that come to attend as investors, is that the government people that you have speaking, the investment bankers that you have there speaking, the other like majors that you have there speaking, they're willing to kind of pull back the curtain and kind of show some of the special sauce that they use when they decide that, okay, we're going to invest in this company and this project versus
Yeah.
that company and that project. And it gives the investor a lot of insights as to how they evaluate these things. And as an investor, you can come away, learning better questions to ask when you're meeting with these companies one on one.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it gives you other thoughts as to how to examine the companies and where you might rank them in a ranking system as to what you want to put your money behind.
Yep, absolutely. You know, for us, I mean, it's all about putting the investor first and the mining community first. And I think, you know, particularly last year, you really saw how these people came together at these networking events. I had people that said to me, you know, this is so great because I've met somebody for the first time here at the beginning, and I've been able to talk to them throughout the entire conference, either at lunch or one of your networking events, of which there are 5, by the way. You know, at our gala event, we've got core shacks, we've got cocktail parties, we've got after dark events. So it's like, you know, this person said to me, it's like by the end of the conference, I felt like I really had a really great handle on what the company was all about. And as a result, you know, that kicked off a series of events, and now there's a deal in the works. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and deals do get done at your event, which is
Yeah.
something else to consider. But yes, you look after the investors when they come. They're looked after.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
they get breakfast, they get lunch, and all I can say is I got the time wrong for your gala last year. So I was there way too early, and I sat, you know, which was effectively out in the outside show hall outside the
Yeah.
doors. And you know, I chilled and did some other things that I could do off of my phone. Not a word of a lie. As people walked into your gala, I could hear them gasp and say, wow.
Yeah.
And it was a huge wow factor. There was, you know, you walked in and you felt like you were, you know, at an after party to the Academy Awards and not a mining event.
Yeah, we got that a lot. I've had all sorts of people say to me, "Oh my God, I can hardly wait for your event this year." And lots of people are getting their outfits ready. But as we say, you know, we don't say it's black tie or anything. We just say dress to impress, right? But it was a lot of fun. The Core Shack was a smash hit. We have a fantastic casino in the back that's sponsored by IBK. We've got that coming again. This year, we're going to have so much fun. We're doing a winter wonderland in June, so we're calling it the January Salon. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and all the big sponsors are going to be there with their decked out pavilions and fabulous food stations, same as last year. So yeah, we're really excited about how it's coming together.
Perfect. And we're looking for more investors to come. So
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I really want to stress how easy it is. Like for our friends in the US, you know, if you're in New York or you can get yourself to New York, you can just fly direct into Quebec City. Same thing with our wonderful friends from Europe, London, Quebec City, Zurich to Quebec City, Genève to Quebec City. It's really easy. The airport is literally 25 minutes from the hotel. You get a discount on your hotel. You, as an investor, as a registered investor, you have at your fingertips one of the most unique, beautiful cities in the world. It is a World Heritage or UNESCO World Heritage site. The food is incredible. Like the food at our conference, I've never seen anything like it. And I've been in this business for 30 years. I've been to a lot of conferences, but we have an arboreal chef. So you'll be getting lobster with your beer, and you'll be getting venison stew over rice. I mean, it's unbelievable. The food in Quebec City, that's really what they're known for, as well as the history of the city. We do have what we call our POP program, which is the plus one program. So if you're an investor and you want to make it a bit of an event and bring your partner, we can, for a nominal fee of $2.99 Canadian, we can badge them in and they can enjoy everything at the conference, except, of course, for the one-on-one meetings. And wearing their badge around the city, there's also a citywide program where you get discounts at restaurants and other places if you show your badge. So it's we're trying to do everything the right way at this conference to really, really accommodate the investors. And I can say that every investor that's come has said, oh my God, I'm going to tell, all my European friends to come next year. So we expect to have around 300 investors this year, and we're tracking for that. So, but we could always use more, of course. We love to see investors, and we also have a limited number of retail investors that can come and network. We have a small cap lounge where they can come in and network with those people. They can go to all the presentations. The larger companies will have the list of retail investors, and they may reach out to you to have a meeting as well. And for retail investors, it's again a very nominal fee of $2.99, and you're entitled as a fully badged member into the conference.
And just to make a particular note, that's $2.99 Canadian. Your hotel rooms are in Canadian. So if
Correct.
you're actually an accredited investor coming over from Europe or coming up from the United States, I even met investors from South America that had come up for your conference last year. Those are in Canadian dollars, and your US dollar and your euros, they go an awful long ways here.
Yeah.
Off mic, I was complaining about the price of food in London, and after my Canadian dollar exchange, it got even worse. So I would personally be really approving of coming the other direction instead of going from Canada to Europe. So
Yeah, and and again, even the mining companies that are paying to for the privilege of having their own one-on-one room and having their, one-on-one calendar and their interviews on the green carpet and everything, our prices are in Canadian dollars, and I'm going to say that we are approximately 30% better priced than any other conference out there, and maybe even more. So, we still have a few spots left for large market caps who want to speak. And then we have our non-presenting spots. We've got about 20 spots left. So I'm happy to meet with mining companies and to make sure that they're part of this amazing conference that just keeps on growing and keeps getting better.
yeah, and this is Joanne vets these companies. This is the wheat, not the chaff. So you don't have to go through a bunch of juniors that maybe aren't quite ready for prime time in order to get through to, investable situations. And, Joanne does some of that hard work for you. So the companies that are there are all valid investment opportunities. And if you are an accredited investor, even a retail investor, here's an opportunity where you get to sit down with the CEOs and, talk about their company. And the one-on-one meetings at your event, Joanne, quite frankly, you give investors a broader stroke of time to spend with the CEOs than a lot of the conferences that have one-on-one meetings where it's like 15 out the door, 15 out the door.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes, and should say that this year for all of our presenting companies, we're launching a new project. We're working with a company to do all of the to do a snapshot report. So I'm really, really pleased with how that is going right now, and that'll be available on the MeetMax system for everybody. So yeah, that's a new feature that we've got going this year. So you'll be able to either download the whole book of all the presenting companies or just download one page.
That's a perfect thing. So you know what? Canadian dollar, we're cents on versus the euro and the American dollar. A world-class UNESCO historical city with some of the best food you'll ever have, some of the best scenery, as old a history as you can find in Canada. A plate full of good investable opportunities. What more could an investor want out of all of this, except for how do they sign up to come to your event, Joanne?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can do that. So you can reach out to us on our website. It's www.themininginvestmentevent.com. There's a registration button at the very top. Press that, and it'll take you to the investor page, where you can fill out the form, or you can simply contact Jennifer Choi at jchoi, that's JCHOI at irinc.ca, and she will take care of you. Either one.
Wonderful. The dates again of your event this year?
That is June 3rd to 5th.
And I look forward to seeing you in Quebec City, and hopefully we'll have a whole raft of investors that heard this show joining us. So
fantastic. And thank you so much, Michael, for being such a great friend and ally. Again, we really, truly appreciate everyone's support, and come on out and support Canadian mining, everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time, Joanne.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.